Well, I let the pot simmer for a couple of weeks on the Karmelo Anthony case, and a whole bunch has happened, including some wild stories about the FBI raiding his parents' house and his parents' mansion being raided, and then all sorts of other weird titles like FBI's find out Karmelo Anthony's parents, secret buyers of $30 million mansion, all sorts of other crazy stuff is getting out there. I'm going to sort through what's true, what isn't. Also, literally moments ago, a huge update in the lawsuit against Karmelo Anthony's support network, which would be Charleston White, Karmelo Anthony's dad, and some Tiffany Billions person, as well as some indication that Karmelo Anthony may be federally charged with a hate crime escalator in this case. So strap in, get ready for all of the updates here as we're going to talk about what's true, what's not. And if you appreciate the coverage, all I ever ask is that you leave a like on the video. And well, that's literally it. That's it. That's all I ask. We'll be live today again on Quartering Live if you're a YouTube only viewer, which will be linked in the pinned comment down below, or just search YouTube for Quartering Live, one word. There's only like 5,000 subs, but sub there or watch on Rumble, wherever. So over the weekend, Benny Johnson had a individual from the Department of Justice on. I'm sorry, I'm not totally politically brained, so I don't know who they are right out front. But it says Karmelo Anthony case could face federal hate crime charges. According to Trump's DOJ, they're looking into the case. Now, the summary of this video is essentially that we need, they haven't decided on any kind of charges, along those lines yet, but they could. And that Trump's Department of Justice is, in fact, looking into this case. There are certain escalations that haven't been hit yet because of Karmelo Anthony's age and Austin Metcalf's age. There's different statutes for, I guess, the federal government to get involved. But that's something worth keeping in your back pocket. But then the unstoppable Sarah Fields, who is now like 4 days past her due date, still doing amazing work, exposing a massive Karmelo Anthony fundraising scam. Notorious criminal involved in fundraising scam to assist Karmelo Anthony. The teen currently facing first-degree charges in Collin County, Texas. On the left, we have Chris Watts on the left. And on the right, I don't know who this person is yet. We'll find out. Bella Watts, apparently. This is Chris Watts. Chris Watts has been serving a life sentence for taking out his pregnant wife, Shannon Watts. Bella Watts and Celeste Watts since 2018. These are their children. So he took out his wife and children. On the right is Ann Carroll, the woman who wrote love letters to Watts from her own prison cell. Amongst her long list of criminal behavior, she was sentenced to 15 years after pleading guilty for faking cancer diagnosis and conning $60,000 out of her church, neighbors, family, and friends. So on the left, we have a guy who took out his pregnant wife and kids. On the right, we have someone who faked cancer for money. Okay, we're getting to Karmelo. Stick with me. Ann Krull is from Highland Ranch, Colorado. Her husband, a police officer at the time, would have his coworkers dedicate time, meals, and assistance to her. Her neighbors reported that she would beg them for pain medications. The scam went on for 4 years until 2009, when she was under investigation by the Lakewood Police Department Assistance Foundation. She then forged paperwork showing that she had a cancer diagnosis. Of course, it came to light that Ann had 24 charges of possession. She was arrested in 2008 and 2009 for fraud, counterfeiting, and obtaining controlled substances. In May 2010, she was arrested for 7 counts of possession, distributing, and manufacture. So she's a pillhead, all right, in love with a psychopath. Her husband then allegedly decided to resign. Now, Ann was released from prison recently and almost immediately began committing fraud again. In March 2024, she was arrested for forgery. In February 2025, she was accused of forgery and then placed on a fugitive hold. After conducting a full background check, she has by far one of the longest rap sheets I have ever encountered in my career in journalism. Ann created a TikTok called Nick Bella. The wife of Chris Watts was the wife of Chris Watts was carrying a baby named Nico, and their daughter's name was Bella. She named herself after the extinguished children of Chris Watts. Sick. She quickly infiltrated the Karmelo Anthony camp back in April, claiming to have donated a large amount to the Karmelo Anthony Give Send Go, and claiming she had seen the Frisco ISD security footage. She then forged a fake Frisco ISD badge as well as a fake receipt to show her donation to the Give Send Go, which of course was also fake. Stay with me on this. We're also going to talk about the FBI raid that allegedly happened at his parents' house and things like that. During a late night TikTok broadcast hosted by a podcaster named AFG Bayboy, she was exposed as Ann Krull. An individual reached out to Bayboy to try and convince him that Nick Bella was in the ICU and not expected to survive. Then on Sunday night, Nick Bella appeared in the chat portion of a live, then promptly disappeared. It was also revealed that Ann Krull owns an LLC in Colorado under the name of Bella Mia. Gross, right? According to the source, the jerseys were pretty expensive, like $30 to $40 each, depending on what you choose. They were going to have the number 6 on the back because that was his number. So she started selling Karmelo Anthony merch, which is, I guess the scam here. She started selling Karmelo Anthony merch to raise money that obviously she never intended to give to Karmelo Anthony. During Bayboy's live, individuals began receiving cease and desist letters from Ann, clearly written by online sites and AI. An account on X was just created a couple days ago, has already messaged me threatening to sue me if I put the story out. Very unfortunate. They were probably blocked. Background info receipts are in the thread. It sure would be a shame if you left a like on this video and helped expose this loser who is pretending, who I guess is in love with a guy that took out his own kids because reasons. Here are letters that you sent. Chris, I really don't have any expectations or hopes in writing you. I'd love to hear back from you when you're up to it. For some reason, I find myself caring about how you're doing. You know, I don't know why we're allowing prisoners to send letters to other prisoners anyway. There's a lot about the... By the way, hilariously, this is her picture on TikTok. This is her picture in real life. Just saying. And then, of course, here is the Shopify link where she created a store to sell these jerseys. She has a Facebook. Text messages sent in an effort to make it appear that Ann was... I mean, the whole thing is diabolical. One of the thickest plots ever. Now, on to yet another. Do we do the FBI thing or do we do the other one? Let's jump over to the FBI thing, because this will be a quicker portion of the video. There are several videos on YouTube that are obtaining hundreds of thousands of views. This one has 7.4 thousand. This one has 16. These like T channels that are all running with this story that Karmelo Anthony's parents' mansion was raided. Agents in $2 million fraud case. This one says FBI finds out Karmelo Anthony's parents as a secret buyer in a $30 million mansion. 310 likes. Not a single commenter in these comments like asking, hey, where's the evidence? None of this is true. None of this is true.
Was Karmelo Anthony. Karmelo Anthony.
To this secret buyer is now a key part of the investigation. It raises new questions about why the sale went through so quickly and for the full asking price just weeks after Austin Medef was killed in a...
I mean, they don't even know, is it Austin Medef? AI slop. Karmelo Anthony's parents mansion raided. Do we think this is going to be another AI slop video? Oh, it is.
Would you ignore the truth, or would you have the courage to stand outside and see it for what it is?
Literal AI slop. All right. So no, Karmelo Anthony's parents have not been raided by the FBI. They are not in any kind of fraud case. I could find zero evidence, zero of this. Now, I know they had some fraud in the past, or his dad, Karmelo Anthony's facing fraud case. Fraud. These are all different videos, by the way. All different videos. None of it is based on anything true whatsoever. Okay. A quick check-in on Karmelo's Give Send Go shows he now has $549,877. He continues to raise money. 10 hours ago, someone gave 50, someone else gave 6, someone else gave 6. An anonymous giver gave 100 15 hours ago. So it looks like, donations actually are still pouring in. I don't know why. They haven't bothered updating anybody since, let's see, July, and almost 2 months now. They haven't updated a single person in terms of how they're spending the money. And speaking of which, so Karmelo Anthony's father, Charleston, who will maybe deposed in this upcoming lawsuit, Charleston White, as well as Tiffany Billions, are all being sued. And they just made things very, very bad for themselves. The process has now begun. So basically, Charleston White was allegedly, according to Charleston White, working with Karmelo Anthony's dad to harass people who were reporting on this. And apparently Tiffany Billions was working with her mom, whose real name is Tiffany McAdoo. Okay. And Charleston White has received his letter now that he's being sued. Tiffany's letter is still en route, and I will share publicly once it's in her hand. Charleston White's instructions are clear. He is to, quote, immediately and unequivocally retract all defamatory statements he made about me on all platforms, including but not limited to YouTube and X. Remove all related content that pertains to or perpetuates these defamatory statements. Issue a public apology. Cease and desist from making any further defamatory comments. He has 10 days from the date of the letter to comply. So far, all media remains online. TikTok, Mr. White. The demands to Tiffany are similar. Now, these are to, of course, avoid a lawsuit. Again, the things that Charleston White said were heinous. The things that Tiffany Billions said, obviously also wrong. Remember, Tiffany Billions is the one that came out and said, well, the real reason he took Austin Metcalf's life is because he was making fun of him for having a huge, a magnum dong. That's literally what they said. So, I mean, this stuff is insane, and I supported, with thousands of my own dollars, by the way, Sarah Fields' Give Send Go, which is actually really close to her goal. It's at givesendgo.com/Sarah Fields. She's at 21,500 out of her 25,000. So if you're in a position to help her out, definitely do. But Charleston White has responded and clearly learned nothing whatsoever. Charleston White has never been challenged on the lies he spews on the internet. He finally messed around and defamed the wrong woman. His response to being sued was B-word die. You could have just met the demands made. Sad. See you in court. Now, this is why she's going to need people to back her Give, Send, Go. So Charleston White posted this, and then a message that said, die. He then continued in the comments, saved and filed. I haven't received anything. She's still lying. People are saying, you're a moron. Guy, you're about to be sued into oblivion. You should probably just apologize for making this stuff up. Where is he? Here. F that meth 304 with a large black torpedo. Again, he's allowed to insult her, obviously, but he's probably going to lose this. He's hoping that she probably doesn't have enough money to continue in the lawsuit. So I'm hoping she does. I'm hoping that she does continue to press this forward. It'll be interesting to see as things shake out. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure you subscribe or follow so that, you've got someone who's going to cut through the weird nonsense out there, as well as someone who's going to report the truth. I hope you enjoyed. We'll talk to you again real soon.